Hi, I'm Brian Goldberg and welcome to the Investors Org interview series. And right now I'm very thrilled to have one of the leading people, investors, stars in the ecosystem of the startup world, Paul Naphtali. Paul, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
What an introduction. Thank you.
Well, it's true. Every word's true. I've known you for a while and you've definitely... Well, it leads me straight away. What attracts you to startups? You've been around a long time in the startup space, definitely before the Australian scene.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, you were one of the first people I saw when I came back to Australia from... I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley and before that in Europe. And I started life in PR and marketing and helping technology companies communicate their stories and drive their growth. And you sort of have a choice in that career of are you attracted to the high-paying corporate end of the market, or are you attracted to the smaller end of the market, who pay less, but from my perspective at least, what I loved about startups was the people who are in startups and the ambition of those people. I think, with all due respect to those who go into the corporate life, that there is a bit of a danger that you're part of a big machine, and when you're certainly younger in your career, your ability to make a real impact was muted. Mm-hmm. And so when I sort of discovered this thing called startups, and this is back in the late 90s, wow. I was really attracted to the kinds of people who were coming into there and their desire to solve problems, and their ability to do that quickly, and that's true to this day. And I'm probably a frustrated non-founder in many ways. I've worked with startups, when they were one person, and through to reasonably significant companies, and I'm not that kind of person who sees a problem in the world like a founder does. I'm a person who's really attached to helping those people be successful.
Right. Very good. And now you're heavily involved in the investment scene for startups, so we'll go into that a bit later on. But from your perspective and seeing a lot of startups, what do you look for from an investment perspective?
Yeah, so a bit of context. So I, together with Jim Cassidy and a few others, set up Rampersand, which is an early stage venture fund, in 2013. And our focus is on that early stage. So what we look for are companies who are starting to get into market, or have got some level of presence in the market, yes. Albeit might be very early, and be able to then assess that opportunity based upon the founder's ability to bring something to the market. So you can start to look at the product they've built, you can start to look at the market they're addressing, to some extent talk to the customers, rip the code apart, that kind of thing, and really what we're looking for all comes down to the people. It's one thing to be able to assess their code, but we know that the product and the plan that we're investing in, the point that we're investing is not the right one, because no one ever has the right plan forever. It's actually the people who have that capability and that drive to solve, attach to the problem that they're solving, and to iterate against that problem or against the solution that they've got. There will be hurdles, there will be endless hurdles. So we talk about resilience a lot, and it's much more than resilience. The ability to thrive in that environment is what we're looking for, and there's it's not a normal person, and we talk about looking for outliers, and we talk about looking for non-normal people, because throughout our careers we've been really lucky to have worked for and with hyper successful individuals, and to have that kind of success is not normal, and the people who achieve that kind of success are not normal. So we talk about those not normal people with a great degree, actually an infinite degree of respect. So really what we're looking for are those people who know the hard work is ahead, who live for that challenge, who are very competitive. Now there are a lot of people who can fit that profile, but might not be a good fit for our fund. Mm-hmm. So for our fund, what we're looking for is to invest in things at the right stage, and who are addressing and attacking problems that we can believe in. Problems that we can believe in solving.
So on that, the next point from an investment perspective is, do they need to be global and internationally oriented from the start, or could a local presence and a local ambition be enough?
Look, there's no hard and fast rules. There's certainly, in most areas, there's a preference for international, not necessarily global. I think one of the things that we can help companies with is when is the right time to go international and how to do that, because we've done it a number of times. In the 14 companies in our portfolio, only one or two are really domestically focused. The rest have got some degree or a large degree of international focus. So there's a strong weighting towards international, and that's not because it's a religion thing. It's because Australia's a small market. We are after very ambitious organisations who can solve that. We're not looking for the best in Australia, we're looking for the best in the world. And so if you can attack the 1% of the market that Australia is, or the whole world, then why not do that? We certainly don't believe that everything we invest in should be global day one. There are certain types of companies that works for, and there are many others that doesn't work for.
And you mentioned straight away the founders and the importance of founders. So from your investment perspective, you've categorised a founder as outlier, which is great terminology and insight. Do you need a good relationship with them? Do you need to get on with them? And are they everything in what you look for?
There are three principles that Rampersand is built on. The first is to make money for our investors, because if it doesn't make money, then the world stops turning. The two other core pillars are founders as heroes and bring other people along the journey to build an ecosystem, because we think one of our missions here is to help Australia be an originator of fantastic technology companies that change the world, and we do that on the back of founders. And we don't build an ecosystem just with founders and investors or tech and money. We build it with all the other people who can come along and assist that journey, whether it's brought in by your investors or the founders' ability to attract people around them. So it is all in on the founders early on. It's their ability to identify the market, and that market might be invisible to most of us. It might, they're going to create a market, and so the joy of our lives is to be able to meet people all day, every day, who see a future that we don't necessarily see, and be able to support them getting there. So it is all in on them. We want founders running the business that they've dreamed of and doing that for a long time, and the profile of founders is a really interesting one, and we've got a great array of different backgrounds. It's a very diverse set of people. What is really in common amongst the founding teams in which we've invested? They generally fit a profile of having pathological optimism. They tend to be data-centric people. All the data says that if you're founder of a startup, you're probably going to fail, and that's what the data says. You have to have that pathological optimism and that grounded in your self-belief that you're going to be an outlier, but it has to be grounded by pathological paranoia as well. So that optimism and paranoia very rarely manifests in a single individual, but we really are looking for that, and I think that's reasonably common amongst all the people that we've invested in and supported, is they have that sort of dual side of their personality, and what they've all got in common beyond that is the ability to bring people along that journey with them, and because no startup is ever successful really just with the founders. They've got to build the team, customers, employees, partners, whatever it might be, and so be able to share that vision and bring the best people along that journey is a really critical success factor for them.
That's a great insight. Excellent. And what are you up to now at Rampersand, and what's coming up in the next period of time? It's growing bigger and better, and
look, we're on to Fund 2, which we launched in the middle of last year. So that's a much bigger fund than our first fund. It's still a relatively small fund. It's less than $50 million, but that's a fresh fund. So we've got a sort of a 7-year or 5 to 7 year investment window on that fund, and so there's quite a good amount of capital to deploy. So we've really got two main focuses. One is bringing the best founders through the door and identifying that, either by outreaching to them or having them come to us. And it's increasingly and pleasingly, it's an increasingly competitive market. So we want founders to understand what is the right fit with Rampersand. So that's one focus, and the other is really helping the founders that we've already backed be successful. And look, a lot of the time, what that is getting the hell out of their way. Founders are the best people to run their own businesses, we believe, and protecting them. But sometimes, we've built a whole support network within Rampersand, which is around what do we wish we had when we were building companies, and whether that's help with rolling the sleeves up and PR and communications or sales or growth or M&A or corporate. So the other thing we're really looking for is other like-minded people who we can continue to put in front of founders to help them be successful.
Wow, that's exciting, and you've definitely done a great job in our ecosystem at stimulating good feedback, good knowledge to the startups. I've at all the events and activities, everyone's heard of you, and they're more informed, the startups. So to hear it live from yourself has been great.
That's great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Cheers, Ryan.